Parenthetically, although my purpose in telling this tale is not to point out any character flaws in Mr. Anderson, but some may find it curious that Mr. Anderson goes to such great lengths to get the abuser back in contact with his victim. This is a fact, not a value judgment. At any rate, the publication of Mr. Anderson's children's tales unleashed a torrent of bad publicity for us, which prompted the following memo.
To Mr. Big Jr., CEO, from Loyal Eye Minion, Director of Marketing. RE Ice Changes. Here are the main points to remember to tide you over when you get asked about the Hot Girls program. Use humor in the O for hot and suggest that the other person come up with something better. Of course, please pass along any good ideas. We changed the name of the program as part of a continual, periodical, and ongoing reevaluation of the company programs totally not related to any controversies associated with the Ice Girls program. Little O. The Hot Girls on-street personal street sales consultants are, as the word consultant clearly implies, not the direct employees of the Danish match company DNC. We are neither the parents nor the employers of these waifs in question. Little O. Avoid the use of the words dead, frozen, and children in the same sentence. Little O. Use climactically induced body temperature deficiency episodes instead. Practice saying in private first. Little O. We share the shock and revulsion felt by all decent people at any loss of life in this difficult winter season. Little O. Danes can directly help hot girls by purchasing more matches from them. The more matches they sell, the more commissions they make. Little O. We are committed to warmth for all Danes. Mention that Danes don't let Danes freeze campaign frequently. Little O. This has been an unusually hard winter. I entirely agree that you make excellent points with your recent memo, quote, what the hell is going on here? While marketing did, quote, get us the hell in this mess and marketing had better damn well get us out of it, has your characteristic directness and pugnacity, I would carefully remind you that we were not consulted last fall when the numbers people changed the basic focus of the program. I believe I said in my earlier memo, quote, Ice Girls Changes, that the program was never meant to be a cash cow in and of itself. Be that as it may, I totally agree with your emphasis on moving forward and solving this particular situation we find ourselves in. I appreciate the opportunity that you've provided me and my team to present our ideas to turn this thing around. We know this thing has exploded rather suddenly, and we look forward to presenting our ideas, quote, bright and goddamn early Monday morning so that we can start looking for some new marketing jackasses Monday afternoon.
Damn, that Hans Christian Andersen was good. By breaking his story as a children's fable, he was able to totally circumvent Danish libel laws. The second I read it, I knew we were screwed. It was perfect. Because he never once mentioned the Danish match company DMC by name, he rendered meaningless our they are not direct employees defense. Because he never mentioned us as a cause, damn! And implying the waif who froze to death had just recently lost her mother and her dad would beat her if she came home without selling any matches? Brilliant! I must admit, my instinct would have been to turn her into an orphan, but the pathos potential of one evil parent supplanting the love of a parent who is no longer there carries much more dramatic power. It is one thing for an orphan to battle versus an uncaring world, but when a child is betrayed by one of its own parents, it's empathy creating gold. Bravo, Mr. Anderson. Bravo! I hate you, but I have to admire you. And who becomes the dad in the minds of the readers? 3 guesses, and they all involve DMC. It truly was the work of a master. And then to ramp up the empathy pity meter by having another waif abuse her by stealing one of her shoes? And to set the whole thing on New Year's Eve and then publish it first thing January 1st, the night when everyone is at a party filled with food and drink. Oh, and then have them read in the next morning when they are all ready to be guilty over their excess of the night before, and then offer us a substitute to the anger, guilt? Damn again! Oh, but just so you got the message, the next to the last sentences. She had been frozen to death on the last evening of the year, and the New Year's sun rose and shone upon a little corpse. The child still sat in the stillness of death, holding the matches in her hand, one bundle of which was burnt. She tried to warm herself, some said. like we are the bad guys here. Like I said, the work of a master. Now, not everything totally worked for me in this so-called fairy tale, I admit. The part where the cooked featherless goose with a serving knife and a fork protruding from his carcass ran towards the freezing wave struck me as a bit over the top, and the description of the freezing feet also struck me as a bit gratuitous. Not to belabor what I hope is an obvious point, but Hans Christian Andersen is one incredibly sick puppy whose story should not, I say not, be allowed anywhere near children. In his stories, children suffer in the most gruesome of ways, and a happy ending usually means the death of all considered. Not that we were in any position to point that out at the time, damn it, but with the passage of time, I would be remiss in not pointing it out at all. But I'm quibbling in the presence of greatness. For once the fairy tale came out, it became the story which would legitimately frame questions about actual on-street personnel sales consultant deaths. And since we had already generated so much publicity, albeit positive, about the program, there were a lot of bored reporters eager to pounce on the story. It is true that you can only be the darling of the media for so long before they will turn on you. While it may be difficult to predict when this might happen, of course, if the story is dozens of dead frozen street waifs working for an exploitive match company late December, early January, it's a pretty good bet. But it will still happen sooner or later. And somehow I sensed that the usual blend of denial and evasion and excessive ass-kissing was not going to work this time. It would help, of course, but things were so screwed up normal would not do. Now it was time to try something different. It was time to meet the clown. It was time to suck it up and turn this around. Now, some of the people who didn't know me very well may have been surprised as to what I did. Those who saw me as an egotistical blowhard might have been surprised that I did not run around and find someone else to blame. Because to find someone to blame is to make the concession that something was gone wrong. Blame only exists where shame lives. But if you do not call it a failure, then all that remains are facts. Now, some facts are bad. Mistakes had been made, yes. Other facts were good. We have had some very good things happen, too. Now, our job is to learn from both of them, the good and the bad. Build on them. What went right is a good thing. Let's keep that. What went wrong is wrong. Discard that. What remains is the product of the experience. Embrace it. Embrace the clown. When they put you in a clown suit, say cheese and smile. And then embrace the clown. It's just that simple. Before the Monday showdown with the executive board, I assembled the marketing team, perhaps for the last time, for a quick assessment of where we were.
Okay, people, where are we project and publicity-wise?
Well, we had to postpone the gala. While the Queen doesn't seem to have a problem with frozen waifs, most other people do.
Remember, people, they are not frozen waifs. They are nameless victims of
climatically induced body temperature deficiency episodes.
Okay, send her some more liquor and some chemises as a thank you. How about the Danes Don't Let Danes Freeze campaign?
Well, we've had a few problems with the brochure and its graphics.
How so?
There quickly arose a babble of voices from which, after a bit, I could discern there was some sort of conflict between those who wanted a triangle of heat versus those who supported the square of warmth as the central motif and graphic.
People, calm down. Bottom line it for me here. Will we have anything to go on by Monday?
Again, the volume of voices went up, this time with more finger-pointing and expressions like never and over my dead body and as a working professional and totally bush league and total insult to all I have ever done, and clueless and stupid too, flew about the room.
Okay, I'll take that as a no.
And besides, it's exploitative.
That was Alan, of course. All eyes turned toward Ingrid. She looked at her watch.
Yes, right on time, boys and girls, right on time. Pass it on over.
There was something vaguely comforting about the ritual.
Okay, how about the let's blame the Finns thread?
We're pushing it as hard as we can, so it's out there, but it looks like we're still the ones taking the most heat on this.
So to speak.
Oh, yeah. Right. Sorry, Chief.
Okay, anything else?
Well, letters would be at least 1,000 to 1 against us.
Yeah, if we got one.
I am counting the Queen as one.
Oh.
Sponsors want off the chemises.
We've got an angry mob outside the building.
As if on cue, we heard the tinkle of glass as a rock came through a window someplace. Lars, the janitor, shuffled off as the distant cry of "Child Killing Corporation" became slightly louder.
Now, on the plus side, if the mob stays on past dusk, they will have to light their torches with matches.
A chorus of voices intoned with mock solemnity.
When you have to be sure that you are using a match that will light.
9 out of 10 mob members recommend Danish match company DMC matches when they go on an arson-filled rampage.
Finish match go out at the most inconvenient times, but with match DMC, it's strike and whoosh!
When the dialectics of materialism are finally going your way, Danish matches are the way to light that engine of creative destruction, because it would be a bummer if the engine went out because the match didn't light.
When I was arrested, all I had were cheap Finnish matches. I was so embarrassed, especially since once the police noticed that all I had were Finnish matches, I was immediately released. It was obvious I was not a serious mob member. Don't let this happen to you. Show them you're serious. Take Match DMC matches to your next riot. Match DMC, strike and whoosh!
In a way, I was so proud of them. They had embraced the clown, but didn't quite know it yet. Denial and evasion were not going to work this time, so it was time to introduce them to Mr. Clown.
Okay, people, thanks for the information. Now, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it.
The rest of the weekend flew by until it was time to meet the board and Mr. Big. The air was decidedly hostile as Mr. Big introduced me.